Welcome to Real Shanghai Mathematics Practice Book 4.1. This is the third unit and it's called Introduction to Fractions Part 2 because this has been covered more basic level previously and it consists of three parts. The first part is called Comparing Fractions. So let's begin with this. Question number 1. Color the diagram to show the fractions, fill in the blanks and write less than or greater than in each of these circles to compare the fractions. So 7 out of 12 and 5 out of 12. So those circles would have 12 parts and you cover 7 of those, and the 5 one you cover 5, and then it should be straightforward which one is greater. Okay, when the bottom, which is called the denominator, again, that's not really important to know the name. So the bottom here of the fraction, which is 12s, then if they're the same, then it's generally quite easy to work out which was bigger or smaller because you're just looking at the top numbers, and that's what they basically are showing you with regards to comparison. Part 2, because 3/8 has 3 lots of 1/8 and 5 has 5 lots of those, and therefore 3/8 are going to be less than 5/8, and so it should be straightforward. Let's go for B, part 3. 7 out of 10 compared to 7 out of 12. So again, it's fairly straightforward, but if the tops are the same and the bottoms are different, so you can see again, hopefully from the diagrams, that if you cut the circle or a cake in 12 parts, each part will be smaller than the 10 parts. So here the 7/10ths would be larger than 7/12ths. And sometimes if you're not sure, you can take extreme values and check it. So if we compare 1/4 with 1/2, then clearly you can see that a quarter will be smaller than a half. And then moving on to C, again coloring it in, and you should hopefully notice again also that 4/6 is actually the same as 2/3, and again that's introduced now here. So C, 2, A, and B. Let's do a little bit of those. So those are going to be 4 out of 8, which is the same as 2 out of 4, which is the same as 1 out of 2. Okay, so not sure if that's clear or not. Let's just introduce it. So from the diagrams, hopefully that is fairly clear, but if it's not clear, let's just do a little bit of this here. So we'll do it for the next one. B, so let's do that. So these fractions are all the same, but we like to get in the simplest form, but it's important to realize that the fractions are all the same. So for example, 4/16 is the same as 8 at the bottom. What is it the same as? So what fractions remains the same if whatever you do to the top and the bottom are the same. But whatever you do to the top or bottom, by that I'm referring to timesing or dividing. So if I times both of these by 2 and it becomes 8/32, it's the same fraction. If I divide both these two by 2, which is the case here, then again the fraction is the same. So this has been divided by 2, the top is going to be divided by 2 as well. Okay, and then we can carry on. And that's going to be the same as, again, we can divide it by 2. Divided by 2, sorry. So that should be 8 divided by 2, so that's 4. And 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So all of these, even this simplest form is a quarter. And we could have gone directly there by looking at what number is the largest that goes in both. Again, the reason why you need to be very good at your times table, so you should be able to see straight away, they're both in the 4 times table. So if you divide this by 4, that's 1, and then divide this by 4, that's 4, and therefore that's the same as that. And again, I repeat again and again, whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom, and then the fraction remains the same. If you do something just to the top, and by that, again, not talking about addition or subtraction here, we're just talking about times or divide, because then the ratio stays the same when you do that. Okay, and then moving on to complete the table, compare the fractions. Again, that should be straightforward because it's a combination of the both of them, which we've been covered before. So we'll just cover 13/20 and 13/8. So that should be straightforward. The 1/18, they're going to be larger pieces than 1/20. So 13/20 is going to be smaller than 13/18. And then moving on to question 3. Each step Emma takes 7/12. Whose step is longer? Again, same thing, but just in a worded one. You compare 7/10 with 7/12 and work out which one is longer. And B, Again, similar process, so I'm not going to go into all of those. Order the fractions, again, similar process, so just being familiar with that. So we've said this before, and that is compared to 3/12 and 2/12, and clearly 3/12 is larger. And then if you complete 3/12 with 3/8, then clearly 3/8 are larger, because 8's bottom bit here are going to be smaller, sorry, are going to be larger pieces than 8's, are going to be larger pieces than 1/12. Okay, and the similar process for all of these. So I'll let you do. Okay, let's just do 1C. No, let's do question 2 here. Let's do question 2. So they're giving you fractions. They remember 1 here means the bottom and top are the same. So this could be 14 over 14 or 13 over 13. But clearly the other ones are smaller than that. So the 1 is going to be the largest. Then after that, which one will it be? Then it's going to be 12 over 13. Yes, because 13 pieces are going to be bigger than the 14th. And it's 12 over 13. And then obviously 12 over 14 and then 11 over 14. There. Fine. As I say, I'm not going to be able to do every single question. So if there are any ones you get particularly stuck on, then let me know. And guess the mobile number. Again, mathematics magic. That's up to you guys to do that as well. Generally speaking, level Bs or these kind of ones are really optional and up to you. If your child enjoys that kind of stuff and you want to do it, great. If you get stuck on that, then let me know. And again, you do have answers that you can get from Colin's website to look in more detail. Moving on to the second part, which is called addition and subtraction of fractions. So when the bottom bit's the same, like in this case, the eighths, then simply you just add the pieces together. So 3 plus 2 is 5, so it's 5 eighths. Again, you're just adding the top bits, you're not adding the bottom bits, so the eighths remain the same. And again, by coloring it in, you should be able to notice that. So you color 3 eighths, and then another 2 eighths, you'll see it's 5 eighths. Okay, and that's what they're showing you here. 5 eighths, 3 plus 2 is 4 equals 5 eighths, and that's 5 eighths. And the subtraction is again the same. As long as it's 11, 11, bottom, then 7 take away 3. Again, it should be straightforward. And then question 2 is a combination of that. And remember, for F1, 1 is going to be when the top and bottom are the same. Okay, so in this case, 1 will be there in 20th. So we'll do 20. So we'll convert this is going to be question 2, F. So 1 is actually 20 over 20. Okay, I mean, 1 can be anything. It could be 16 over 16, 8 over 18. The reason why I chose this is because of the next one, to make our life easy in terms of subtraction. Because the next one says 7 over 20. Right, so then for this case, all you have to end up doing, okay, sorry, this is 20. Writing isn't great. So that's 20 take away 7, which is 13. So that'll be 13 over 20. And that's why we picked this one, because of this denominator, or this bottom bit here. Again, don't get too worried about the names. It's not as important yet. Fine. So addition, subtraction is done there. Question 3 should be straightforward, I assume. Which one shall we do? Shall we do F? Let's do 1F, and the ones are usually hardest. So 4 plus 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. So 9 over 9. 9 over 9 take away 1. Again, 1 with the same denominator bottom bit will be 9 over 9. So 9 over 9 take away 9 over 9 would be 0. And then you got challenge yourself for this particular one. Question 2. Our level Bs are harder. Okay, so level Bs are harder. So what have they done here? I'm not sure why they've done this when they haven't really helped you out. So let's see if there's a particular way of doing this or not. So 3/5. Okay, sure, we can do it. It's possible to do it. So when you're adding, you can add in any particular order. So question 2, we can add 3/5 with 2/5. So that becomes, yeah, so we add the first one, the third one together, 3/5 and 2/5, and that becomes 5 over 5. Remember, 5 over 5 is 1. And the other one, 4 over 9 plus 5 over 9 is also 1. So it's 1 plus 1. So the answer will be 2. So you can't do it, but as I say, it'd be more trickier. And if your child can do this straight away, then really they're making tremendous progress, and they're probably above the level for this book, and they're finding it really easy. But as I say, level Bs are meant to be hard, so they may struggle with this, not a problem. However, level As, they should be finding it straightforward. If they're struggling, then there is a problem. Either you've skipped books and you've gone too far ahead and they need to build on the problems, or if they have gone through the books, then they haven't spent the time that they should have done in learning the multiplications like we've done, or right at the beginning in terms of number bonds. Those had to be really embedded, and with these questions they need to be uh, worked on even more. And if they're struggling with that, again, go back to times table, and we did discuss how to do that. And then moving on to the last part, which is part 3, exploring with fraction wall. Okay, so you got a fraction wall there. Again, just showing you half plus a half is 1, and so on and so forth. And then right at the bottom you got 16th, so there'll be 16 of those 16ths, and that is also 1. So they're showing you that half is the same as 8/16 right at the bottom, or a 3 6, and so far so forth. And sometimes with the 7th you can see they don't quite line up, which is fine as well, so just to be familiar with that. And then you can use that as well to try and answer some of the questions. So I'm just looking at the question to see if there's any issues there. This should be straightforward. As I say, a combination of both. They're either keeping the top or the bottom same. If the tops are the same, if the bottoms are the same, then it's very straightforward. And if the tops are the same and bottoms are not the same, then just think about, is 1/5 larger than 1/4? Then no. Is something being split up into a quarter rather than 5 parts? It's going to be a larger. Each part is going to be larger. So in this case, 3/5 is going to be smaller than a 3/4. And as I say, we can take extreme examples of that. If you're getting confused, take a half and a quarter and check that out. So again, half will be larger than a quarter, and so on and so forth. Question 2, use the fraction rule. So yeah, you can have a fraction rule. So 1/4, how many eighths is that? Again, we have talked about it. So another way of doing it, especially in the long term, is 4 times what number gives you 8? That's 4 times 2. So we do the same to the 1. So it'll be 1 times 2, that's 2/8. But you can just use the fraction rule. That is what it's there for, because it's just an introduction for your child. Then we got calculations. Again, should be straightforward. They're just building on what's been talked about before. So again, question F1 is going to be 8/8. So 8/8 take with 7/8. And then level B, working out the sizes, again, should be fairly straightforward. 1 is going to be the largest one. And then we're going to go with which one. So yeah, it's a bit more tricky, and that's why they say use the fraction rule. So use the fraction rule to have a look, to help you with that, because there are ways of doing it, but it's much more complicated. Your child's not ready for that, so just use that, and we can find out so and so. And okay, from the fraction rule, now write any other addition. So that's an option. Other ones that you can think to give you an answer of a half. So you can try that from the number wall. Different options for that, and with that we'll end.